Hi, welcome to the first edition of Inside the UBC. This video series is going to explore the many elements of the Ultimate Body Challenge, from your favorite recipes to the techniques that you use in your kickboxing classes, the strength and conditioning techniques, and maybe some guest appearances from people who've benefited from the UBC and are actively participating in teaching in the UBC. We always like to learn. Now, since this is the very first segment of Inside the UBC, let's start with the very first technique. And the very first technique in our big kickboxing program, of course, is the jab. The most basic technique in boxing or kickboxing, the easiest to throw, the one that takes the least amount of effort, and you'll find that the majority of the combinations that you start off with in the UBC kickboxing classes start with the jab. Also, the jab is used many times in the kickboxing class to kind of get a win back. You know, we don't like people just to put their hands on their knees and go, you know, I call that fitness drama queen. We'd much rather have them moving and jabbing and learning to get their win back by doing this movement. It's amazing what you can condition your body to do. And if every time you kickbox and you start getting tired, instead of just putting your hands down and walking around, jabbing that bag and getting used to getting your win back here, over a relatively short period of time, your body will get conditioned to do so. And it's a great habit to get into. It also creates a certain amount of discipline, which is an important element to achieve your fitness goals. Now let's talk about the jab in relationship to fighting. Realize, you know, even though most of us are using these techniques in our kickboxing class to get the health benefits, never forget that kickboxing is a sport. Boxing is a sport, a very active one. Now, how does the jab, or how is the jab used in the fight game? Well, usually a fighter will establish the jab to set up his combinations and the old knockout shots. And it's very similar in the kickboxing classes, where you start off with the jab and then you finish off with some power shots as the combinations build. Very similar in the ring, where a fighter will establish that jab, try to find the target, and then try to come back with the more power techniques. What's interesting, you'll hear this a lot if you watch the fight game, which I recommend if you're now participating in these classes. You hear the announcer say he has to establish the jab, because if he can't hit him with the most basic technique in fighting, how is he going to hit him with anything else? Now let's talk about how to execute a proper jab. A couple things. One, you want to make sure when you throw your jab that you try to get your elbow behind the punch. A lot of times, common mistake, you'll see students firing a jab in this manner. And that's just not proper form, but also puts excessive stress on your wrist, and also can, you know, hurt your hand a little bit if you hit properly. We want to get the elbow up and basically try to get the elbow in line with the jab as it comes out. So we're not punching here, we're not punching here. I also sometimes see this. You want to make sure the elbow, if you notice, comes up, and at the very end, look at my thumb just turn down slightly. And also, if you notice as I throw the jab, look where my other hand is. Common mistake I see in kickboxing classes for fitness all the time is this. One hand goes out, the other hand comes way back. The challenge with that, for one, it's just not proper form, but you can also hurt your rotator cuff and hurt your shoulder if you get the hand behind you. The common rule in kickboxing is you should always be able to see your hands, including the hand that's not punching. So if you find yourself coming back here, you can't see that hand anymore, you got to get it more in front of you. So this is more the motion. Watch the elbow come up, elbow in line again, not this, elbow up and in. Now, how do we make it a little more challenging for those of you who may be participating in a more advanced kickboxing, or in our program will be our elite program? How do we make this a little bit more realistic and maybe keep the heart rate up a little faster? Step in on it. Instead of just standing there jabbing, get on those toes and in and out. In and out. Breathing, of course, on extension. And in and out will again make the jab a little bit more challenging. So again, the jab, elbow comes up, hand in, straight line technique to the target, pulling it straight back to the face. Not hooking it, another common mistake. Straight in, straight out. If you're just a basic kickboxing fitness student, this is just fine. If you want to increase the intensity, get on those toes, boom, in and out, in and out, in and out like a fighter would. Always remember that we always come back to guard and we try to keep our hands up through the entire kickboxing class. All right, this is Jim Graden, and this is your first segment of Inside the UBC. I sure hope you enjoyed it.